I'm Scott Lucas. This is today's EA Worldview on Syria. The Islamic State of Iraq versus everybody. On Sunday, February 23rd, a man named Abu Khaled al-Suri was killed in Syria. He wasn't just an ordinary insurgent. Al-Suri was a senior member of a faction called al-Sham. But equally important, he was a mediator on behalf of al-Qaeda, to try to resolve a conflict between the Islamic State of Iraq and al-Sham and an Islamist faction called Jabhat al-Nusra. That effort had not only failed, but ISIS had been in conflict with not only Jabhat al-Nusra, but other insurgents since January. Now, the al-Qaeda mediation effort had not only failed, but the man behind it was dead. Now, that's far from the end of the story. 24 hours after al-Suri was killed, the leader of Jabhat al-Nusra, which is also linked to al-Qaeda, said it was giving the Islamic State of Iraq and al-Sham a 5-day ultimatum. Either ISIS ceased its operations against other insurgents in Syria, or it would be expelled. Expelled not only from Syria, but from Iraq. Ball's in your court, Jabhat al-Nusra said. Either you cease fire, or we will make sure that you are defeated. Why is that significant? Up to now, Jabhat al-Nusra had tried to mediate a settlement with ISIS in its conflict with other insurgent groups, the Islamic Front, the Free Syrian Army, the Army of the Mujahideen. It had failed to do so, but it hadn't declared open war. Now it has. That means that ISIS has almost no friends left inside Syria, not amongst the moderate opposition, the extremist opposition, the moderate stroke extremist opposition, no one. Nor does it have any friends with al-Qaeda, because it left that organization earlier this year. In effect, ISIS, which has fought the Assad regime since 2012, is now fighting everybody else. ISIS does have resources at its command. It has many committed fighters. It has access to a lot of arms. It has recourse to tactics like suicide bombings. But there's no way it wins this fight. What we have seen in the last week is confirmation of a trend since January, that ISIS may continue to have some influence in northern and eastern Syria in the near future, but in the longer term, it's gone. That doesn't mean the Syrian conflict will be resolved by a long shot, of course, but what it does mean is that a group for a long time was simply called al-Qaeda, which in fact is no longer al-Qaeda, will be reduced as the extremist threat in Syria, and we can finally consider that conflict without its destabilizing, brutal, inhumane methods. I'm Scott Lucas, and this is EA's Worldview on Syria for today.